Hey folks, fWhip here, and welcome to the second channel for another comment of the episode. Multiple comments. I keep trying to think of something cool for this, and I keep being like, yeah, lots of comments, single episode, comment of the day. Comment of the day isn't quite right, but here we are. Anyways, let's go. Leave a like down below if you're excited, and please subscribe to fWhiptwo if you haven't already. But here are all of the builds from episode 71, and oh, they're looking so good. We'll walk around these in a moment, but first, our first question is coming in from Slimy4427. Minecraft needs higher mountains and lower seas. Now you can just go down to the bottom and back up no problem, which I find super unrealistic and hate. Mountains are supposed to be a challenge, the creations of the earth, but now they're just bumps in the terrain. If you think these mountains that we currently have in Minecraft, I mean, the one that I'm actively tearing down, and all of these are bumps in the terrain, I actually want to jump in the past here. All the way back to building with fWhip, which happened before the terrain update. So all of this terrain here was generated way before the Caves and Cliffs update. And if you think the current mountain biomes are just a little bump, I would say at least be able to enjoy where we came from. Because this right here, this was a mountain. This is the, well, it's now called Windswept Hills, but these things right here, these used to be your mountains. And then the water level is right down there, and that, there's a fairly, quote, big mountain range. Well, minus the ones that I'm building that I started building myself because they were too flat. But yeah, this was like a big mountain range in the old terrain generation that we have. So I would just say that, you know, at least they're not just little whoop, and then you're over it. I mean, that's been a lot better. But outside of that, yeah, I would definitely be down with the world height increasing further. If that's something you're looking at, there are a lot of data packs out there and ones that you can make yourself to do that. And then you can also work with some terrain generation data packs that then generate terrain even higher than this current stuff. So if you do want higher mountains and lower seas or something like that, that can all be changed with data packs now, which is pretty cool. Looking at where the mountains are now, this thing in survival without an elytra, without anything, that's very annoying to climb up and down constantly. So I don't think they're that easy to just jump over per se. Maybe if you're up at this layer, I think what the new Minecraft terrain generation does a lot of, that old Minecraft terrain generation would have us sitting down about this layer pretty consistently, like maybe 5 to 20 blocks off of water level. Like that's where most things ended, and then your mountains went up another 30 blocks, maybe like 60 blocks. But what Minecraft does now, since the Caves and Cliffs terrain update, is they've started having a lot more of these plateau biomes, where then the terrain, instead of being at like the 64-ish where water level is, 62, isn't it? Like we're up at 120 right here. So that does make the mountain look a lot shorter, but that's because we're up on a bluff already. Like we're like normal terrain should be down in that area, but we're way lifted up on top here. So yeah, I'd say if you're a newer Minecraft player and you're like, man, these mountains aren't that big, at least it's not what I showed you a minute ago. At least we have mountains that are this tall compared to what they were before when the world height was up to 255. Like these mountains are pretty close, like 50 blocks off of the world height. Like this tree and everything that we made, that is way over the world height. And I believe I still have another 22 blocks we can go up on top of this. And a lot of these mountains are pretty high up here. I think the thing that gets me on terrain generation now is that right there. I really wish they had changed it. So in the newer terrain generation, snowy biomes don't just exist at the same Y level as our current non-snowy biomes, because this is incredibly immersion breaking for me. I wish that I know it would be really, really difficult with the waterways and everything being frozen and all that, but I wish there was a way to set it so that if it's a snowy biome, it is always getting higher elevation. Basically saying that the snowy plains biome that we're in right now just doesn't exist. I'd love for it to still be those like higher bluffs up there where it's like raised up on that ridge line. That looks great. That looks good up there. But when we're down here, like once you're in the environment, then it's fine. It's okay. It's like it looks normal. It just looks like you're in a snowy part of the world. But when you can look over and see the edge of the biome, then you're like, oh, that's just a plains biome right there, and there's no snow on that. To me, that's like the big immersion breaking point in Minecraft. Not so much like the height of the mountains or anything. I think that Minecraft can just do a better job of utilizing the current biomes and how they layer next to each other. I know there's a big rule that the terrain generation tries to follow, doesn't always do, but a lot of times as you're moving from one biome to another, you will have rivers intersecting them as a more natural way of saying, okay, once you cross this river, then you're in the new biome, and that's always pretty cool. Moving on to the second question, where in the last comment of the day, I actually proposed a question to you all about sound design in Minecraft, and Rain Shadow over here is saying, literally, as you asked that question, my first thought was a whole sound design upgrade. As a sound designer, I'm always imagining ways how like the sizzle of a frying pan or embers popping on a campfire or in a furnace and the way sound reflects off ice. Like all these little things add up so much to making a game feel immersive. If you can go through a game and not ever once think about sound design, that designer did their job perfectly, as that's how it goes throughout life. In Minecraft, I always have this feeling that while I'm filling the world with big cities, I'm still left with a void with little to no sound. There are actually a lot of player sound things that we can add in, as right over here in this episode is a great example of we are right next to the river, and the river doesn't really have too many ambient sounds to it. I would love it if this had a few more ambient sounds, like just the sounds that we have that I put down here. I added flowing water underneath, so you can hear the little flowing water sounds as you're down here at the edge of the harbor. It's kind of annoying to manage doing all those things, but it's little tips like that, little tricks like that, that I do find actually help a lot with the Minecraft sound design, make it feel more alive. But then also at the same time, I'm like, this is kind of noisy. But I do wish there's ways to do that, or even like maybe the salmon would jump up out of the water every once in a while and you'd get a little splash as they're coming back down. One thing I've always wanted to jump into and start working with is the ability to use music discs. Music discs in Minecraft can now be pulled and placed and pushed into jukeboxes by hoppers and droppers and all that stuff. So there's little things you can do to cycle them so that you can have a consistent sound. And then you can also use data packs to create custom music discs. Well, actually, you can just use resource packs to do that. I don't think you even need a data pack for it. But there's a way to do it. I haven't looked into it too much, but it could be kind of fun of, say, you're in the market over here and we have all the plants and everything, and we just add in a small music disc that cycles through consistently that just sounds like people murmuring in a market and chatting and like background chatter. That's really like, you can't understand anything that's being said, but it just gives the illusion that people are in here. Or you could just go the old school route and just place some villagers in and have some maybe we put them under the floorboards and they're just constantly making villager sounds. That would be an inhumane way of doing that, but it could work. Other things you can do that I've been enjoying is like right over in here, once you walk into this room, you hear all of this dripping. All of the dripstone dripping down in the cauldrons for the lava collecting and everything. And it really sounds like a big bubbling source of something, which I love. And I want to start using that more if I'm working on like an apothecary, just like putting a few of those underground. And then in here, right down there, we have a few minecarts that are piled up on top of each other, and they're just sliding back and forth on some powered rails. So if you listen carefully, you can hear them moving. And to me, that sounds more like a machine doing something. So I plan to turn this into a forge and having some extra elements in here and just different sides of that. So we can keep that idea in here of adding our own sound design in with the different mobs that exist in Minecraft and the different mechanical bits that we do have to us. I think there is actually a fair amount. It just definitely takes that extra level of care and time to actually put it in. So I don't tend to do it always, but it would be something that I think long term I want to start experiencing more of. Like I keep putting the horses in the stable, so when we're going nearby them, or this dude hanging out here, Mustard hanging out by here, so we just heard him kind of neighing and clip clopping on the stones and everything. I always love that. Question 3 coming in from Carbs. A great ambient / atmospheric addition Minecraft should add is changes to the sky color, depending on what biome you're in. The current light blue is good and all in more common biomes like the plains, but imagine a sea salt / light aqua color when you're in a beach type biome or a yellow tinged sky in warm biomes. So I have mixed feelings on this one, because if we go into the Nether, this is actually already a thing. The Nether has custom sky colors, custom fog colors, and all of that. So right now we are in the Soul Sand Valley, and if we fly over this way, we will be entering into the Crimson Forest. And then back into the Soul Sand Valley, and into the Crimson Forest. So the problem I have with that is you can see right here, that is a very stark change. That is a massive change. The whole skyblock box just changes. Like here, I think we're just gonna be cycling. Nope. Yep. All right, there we go. And you can just see it all just cycling very, very quickly. It does fade in and out over a few blocks as you're moving, but that is a drastic change to the whole skybox. I think it works in the nether because you're not intended to really be up here on the roof. So outside of, say, fog in the distance, when you're looking down the caverns and through the tunnels of the nether, you're not really gonna see that skybox. Now, if that were to be added out here, and there'd be different skyboxes based off biomes, so I'm assuming cold biomes would have one, so you'd have the mountain, then you'd have your plains biome, you'd maybe have a little different tinge to the river biomes if that's considered a warm one, or if it's not considered a warm one, then if you have a river running through a desert, or a mangrove swamp, or like those, then anytime you walk into there, similarly to how in a desert right now, and savannas and all the mesas and everything, it doesn't rain. There's no rain in those biomes, but the sky will darken when that's happening. And then if you look out into the distance over the rivers that run through the deserts and everything, you'll see rain over the river, specifically over the water, and maybe a little bit of the grass that leaches up to the sides into the sands and all that. And it looks really awkward. I hate it. I think it's really dumb. I think there needs to be a desert river biome, purely for the sake of being able to fix that. So we need to have some sort of a warm biome river that doesn't rain, and that will only exist if it's connected to one of the biomes that also doesn't rain, so that you don't randomly just have rain in a river. And then that also makes it difficult for players like me, I would say, with the skyboxes and everything, of we have expanded over how many different biomes here, let alone the idea now that we're just taking down this mountain that is a snowy slopes. You can't really see any snow up here, and eventually I'm going to be treating it as a plains biome like what we have right down in here. So for the immersion that I'm creating in this world, I like the ability that the skybox is actually consistent. I like that idea in the overworld. The nether one always kind of bothered me. But the fact that I won't have to worry about like the skybox changing from here to 20 or 30 blocks that way, that actually for me is pretty good. So I think the skybox could be done very, very subtly. There are a few fabric mods that you can install. I don't know if they're up to 1.21 yet, where you can change overworld fog colors and overworld skybox colors. So if it is something you are interested in and wanted to like check it out and see what you could do with it, the tools for that are out there, and I think that like the really subtle changes could be the way to go. Or alternatively, another great option is kind of what we talked about a few times over, the ability for players to change the biomes in their world in some vanilla format. Because that being a snowy slopes, even though I'm tearing it down and turning it into a plains biome, it's still a snowy slopes. But if there's a way that I could do something and like grow the plains biome into there to absorb it, that could be really cool, where you could then connect biomes together, similar to like how grass will grow over dirt. What if there's a way to like map biomes growing slowly and expanding them? Not that would happen naturally, but like you could do it as a player. You could build some machine or use some sort of a potion on it that would then move the biome along. I feel like that'd be a very difficult way of doing it, so you'd only do it if you really, really want to. But it could be kind of fun to be able to change those things. And it would be really interesting to see, honestly, what redstone farms people could make because of them, by isolating certain biomes. Like somebody would probably figure out a way to spread mushroom island biomes everywhere, and then they'd build these perfect mob farms that they don't need to spawn proof around them because it's all mushroom island. Next, coming in from Hernan Cortez, don't know if you fixed it. One hopper at the wheat farm didn't face into the next one. I did receive this comment a bunch, so I did want to just quickly go through it. So we have the wheat coming down to here, and I believe the hopper people are talking about is this one. That one doesn't matter. That is purely the filter. It doesn't need to flow into anything because that hopper's going, those are moving all the way over here. Those hoppers are all correct. These hoppers down here, also correct. So I think it was this one going into the air block, but that's the filter. So I don't want it to be pulling things out or moving things in there. It is purely waiting for another seed to come through. Like if we were to do this, send those through here, then that'll tick up, and then that allows this hopper to unlock and pull them, and then they're just going right back here into that box. So it is, I believe it is working as intended. Unless I'm really dumb, somebody please let me know. Last question today coming in from Matoto4196. I really like you doing technical stuff because you're doing it my level at blah, 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 blah. This is really great for me on technical stuff here because you're doing it at my level of comprehension. It's way better than watching Redstone Genius placing things while I don't understand anything and just copying. That is kind of why I've been sharing more of the technical stuff, is because I want it to be a little bit more approachable, but I definitely struggle with how to describe things and be concise about it for it to work in a video. So I am trying to include more of it. So I'm glad to see some people are getting good ideas out of it, and maybe apparently learning redstone through me. That still seems a little far-fetched, but maybe it's something that people could be like, oh wait, no, now I understand what that technical person is saying, and then that's a big success too. So we're good on that side. But I have been having a lot of fun experiencing the redstone technical side of Minecraft. It's been really cool to be able to kind of explore more about it and slowly learn more things as they're going. I feel like the more recent additions they've had to redstone in this game, I've actually been able to learn pretty well. So that's been a lot of fun to try and tackle the new things. I don't quite understand the old school stuff, as I think that's a little bit more in depth than anything else. So it's a little harder to actually pick up those as you're getting going. But I have been having a good time starting to understand a lot of it, and I definitely want to keep going. And I'll definitely be sharing my adventures along the way of what I discover and how things work, and maybe that'll be something that will click for other people too. I don't plan to be doing redstone stuff in every single episode, but I also really do enjoy it as a way to break things up with like 4 or 5 episodes of like big building and all that. I do try and include one episode that's maybe like half adventuring or something along those lines, just to really get out and have some freshness for me in the world and freshness for content on the channel. I think it's a really good way to actually keep motivated in Minecraft, is to experience different sides of Minecraft. So I do try and keep that rule true for myself. Like, I want to get back into some trial chambers soon and get a heavy core. I don't know how much I'm going to really use the mace, and I'm really thinking about the first heavy core is actually just going to be purely for decoration elements so that we can use it somewhere in a build because they look so cool. But you never know. You never know. I might actually build a mace. Right. I have got to sort all of these things out here, and there is so much stone and cobble and everything. So that's gonna do it for today. Thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and leave some comments down below for any other questions you might have and things like that. These actually are not even full. But again, that'll do it for today. Leave a like down below if you did enjoy, subscribe if you're brand new, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.